Namaste everybody and welcome to a class on Bhagavad Gita chapter 3. Today we are going to start from verse 1 where Arjuna is asking Śrī Kṛṣṇa, boss, you are saying that wisdom is superior to karma, then why are you asking me to engage in this action of violence? So tell me for certain by which path can I succeed? To which Bhagavan says, or Śrī Kṛṣṇa says, as I have said, there are two paths. One is the merger by inquiry into the self, which is used by philosophers, and merger by activities, for those who prefer action. Man does not attain a state of no action by abstaining from action. Only perfect can attain samadhi through renunciation. So let's reflect a little bit on this particular shloka. I'm sorry, my Sanskritam is very bad and I do not know how to chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Man does not attain a state of no action by abstaining from action, and only the perfect can attain samadhi through renunciation. So here we are talking about sannyasa asrama and we are talking about karma being used to attain samadhi. So let's look at what are the two methods he is talking about. One is the inquiry into the self, like the way Ramana Maharishi has achieved perfection. The other one is the action oriented attainment of the self. Now we have got multiple examples of people who have attained moksha through renunciation, through inquiry into the self. Who am I? So there are role models. And for now you've got people like Nochur and others who speak about it. So you've got enough body of knowledge. But the point is, for that to happen, you have to renounce a lot of the activity you would either to be engaged in. Because to reflect on who am I, what is Asmita, what is the Atma, where does it come from, and why is it there? You are actually just saying, this is not the truth, this is not the truth, this is not the truth. Neti, neti, neti. And then you keep on rejecting everything as unreal, temporary, which is what he's talking about in chapter 2. That there are only two states. One is the permanent state or Paramartha Satya, the absolute truth, and the other one is called Samvriti Satya or transactional truth, which is Maya. So every time you see something that is temporary, you keep rejecting it and saying, this is not the truth, this is not the truth, this is not the truth. Now what are the pros and the cons of such a thing? Whenever you say this is not the truth, you have to perforce reject it and not get attached to it. Now if we were to do at a larger scale, at a, let us say, peripheral attachment. Let us say that you go by bus and you get a bus ticket. Let us say that from childhood you have been told that a bus ticket which has got ends with the number 9 is a thing that will bring you luck. Now what will happen when you see that ticket? You will find that it is hard to throw it out. However, if it is from 0 to 8, you'll be perfectly happy to get rid of it. Now you see what happens is that the truth is that both the 0 to 8 tickets are Maya, 9 is also Maya. But the attachment of importance is different. I have spoken about something that is tertiary. That is something that is so small, insignificant that it should not make a difference. But let us say the secondary or Yeah, let us say it's secondary. Let us say that you are at home and you're reading today's newspaper and it talks about an article which you like very much. How to cook, let us say, some dish that you normally don't, I mean, you've been always wanting to try out, or a variation of an aloo paratha or something like that. You cut it out and you keep it because you are going to do something with it. But something happens and you are unable to make that dish. You don't throw it out. You keep it, and then you put it in your cupboard. You'll put it inside a drawer or diary and keep it inside. What happens? You have actually created something that will never be used. But are you able to say neti? Every time you say neti, there is something of yourself which goes away. That is, it requires a certain courage. It requires a certain ability to say, I am going to get rid of this in order to actually be able to get rid of it. So each time that you are saying that neti, 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 from the tertiary part, it's reasonably easy. Secondary part, it's also not too bad. Then you come to primary relationships. These are all relationship driven. Secondary also can be relationship like driven like friends. You have a fight with a friend, you'll feel sad for 2 days and after that you'll forget about it. A friend or friend's mother passes away. You will go, you'll cry along with the person, but when you come back and you have a bath, you're done. You will feel a little bad, but you're able to let go that. What happens in primary relationships? What happens to primary things which are of value to you? My father gave me a pen. That pen will be with you forever and ever and ever. You will never be able to let it go. Why? Because you associate it with a primary relationship. But are you able to realize that that is also temporary? You have to leave it behind when you go. We don't. Don't worry, I am also in the same boat. My father's pen, I will still keep it. My father's tie, I still have it. This is the weakness that we have. Because when you say neti, neti, I don't want, this is not the truth, this is not Paramartha Satya, this is not Paramartha Satya. You are actually negating the various relationships you have built, the various attachments you have built. For example, you are sitting in a room, you are listening to me. Who am I? I am some kind of a form at the other end of a screen. I do not actually exist. For you, I do, but for many, I don't. The point is, for as long as you associate me with a face and a name, I will have a relationship. The minute the face is removed, the relationship changes. That is the problem with trying to get into philosophical understanding of the state of I. Who am I? But it can be done. It can be that you can sit in a room and slowly give everything away. It is possible. And over time, you get that maturity where you are not attached to anything even though you are there. This is somewhat like a lotus in water. The water will splash on you, it will fall off you without creating any impact. This is the way that second chapter, this is what he is talking about. That this is the way of wisdom. You can get wisdom through this particular activity of enquiry into the self. And he is himself saying that it is superior to everything else, which it is. But here he is now countering it with another thing. He is saying that man does not attain state of no action by abstaining from action. And only the perfect can attain samadhi through renunciation. Now we've spoken about the latter part. Only the perfect can attain samadhi through renunciation. The interesting thing is, man does not attain a state of no action by abstaining from action. The interesting thing is, even if you have to get rid of that slip of paper, the ticket, you have to perform action. You have to throw it away. If you have to stop interacting with your friends, if you have to stop relating to whatever else is happening, you have to take the trouble of going to your WhatsApp group and saying, I am leaving the group. That is an action, it is a karma. But how many of us do it? We don't. Why? Because that group gives us a sense of identity, it gives us a sense of community, that we belong somewhere, to somebody, to something that has a common purpose. But that also requires karma, that requires action in order to be able to say no to it. Now, not for a moment anyone is free from action, for everyone is helplessly driven into action by gunas which are born out of prakriti. Now this is the difficult one, because here we are going into the root cause analysis. How does action come? Now, if you recall, in all our classes in yoga, we have been saying that everything comes from Paramartha Satya or the Brahman. From Brahman, Purusha emerges. That is, there is a Spandana. From Spandana, the identity emerges and seeks attention, confirmation of existence. But in order to confirm its own existence, it needs to manifest. So, what happens is that it manifests, that the identity comes up and it manifests as a itself. So, Vishwanath exists as an identity. Vishwanath is manifesting, and if you confirm the existence, Vishwanath knows that he exists. That is, the identity of Vishwanath is possible to be cognized only when he manifests. When Vishwanath's identity is acknowledged by another identity, Vishwanath's feeling of relief and happiness expands. This is called Ananda. When there is an expansion, there is great amount of flow of consciousness from Vishwanath outside. This is called Rajas. When Vishwanath is ignored, Vishwanath begins to implode. He goes inward. Prakriti moves into Purusha. And this driving of Prakriti inwards, the consciousness of Vishwanath begins to go inward, and that is called Tamas. These are the two major states. But when one moves from one to the other, let us say that a ball is being moved. The ball is in a state of rest, that is Tamas. When the ball is moved, it accelerates, and at one point it goes from movement to loss of movement. This point of transition is when it is at a state of balance. This state of balance is called Sattva. Sattva is the most difficult state to reach. The reason for this is that change is constantly impacting. Stimulus is always coming to us. And this stimulus is, each of these stimuli is grabbing attention. They want, each stimulus is a Purusha in itself. It grabs our attention. It wants our attention. When we give it some attention, that stimulus has a meaning. It begins to get a meaning for itself and for us. When that happens, one of two things happen. When we get that stimulus, if it is something that we are congruent with, we agree with, we are able to resonate to, then we expand, we move forward into rajas. However, if we do not understand what is happening to us, then what happens? We begin to shrink. We begin to resist that change because we are not comfortable with whatever is being sent to us. And that is tamas. So, what is happening here? I am repeating this stanza and trying to explain it to you. Not for a moment even is anyone free from action at all. For everyone is helplessly driven into action by gunas which are born out of Prakriti. So Prakriti and Purusha intertwine, they weave with each other. This weave is called Tantra. And they are yoking with each other is called Yoga. It is the yoga of Purusha and Prakriti. So when Prakriti moves out of Purusha, it is Rajas. When Prakriti moves inwards into Purusha, it is Tamas. And when they are in equilibrium, it is harmony and Sattva. So, no matter where and when it happens, whenever now for instance, I'm telling you something, I'm telling you about Purusha and Prakriti. The first time we spoke about this many years ago, there would have been resistance. But now, as we continuously seek to understand and we talk about the same thing again and again, the level of resistance you have to the subject has started dropping until it reaches a point where it becomes part of you. What happens then? Whenever you see something happening to you, when there is input or stimulus, when you resist, you know that there is a resistance, and this resistance is stopping you from assimilating something. But at the same time, you must recognize this, that whether you resist or you accept, you are creating karma because there is guna there. This is a very nuanced approach which Śrī Kṛṣṇa has. He says that this is born out of gunas. So we need to very clearly understand how karma comes out of gunas, whether you like it or you dislike it. When you like it, you will bring it closer. When you dislike it, you will push it away. This action of pushing and bringing close to yourself is called karma. So when you bring it closer, it is raga. When you don't like something and you push it away, it is dvesha. So this raga and dvesha creates karma, which finds its root in the gunas, which find their root in the yoga or the weave of Purusha with Prakriti, both of which come from the Brahman. This is a very important base on which we need to understand. Lakshmi Madam is saying that the audio is fragmented. I wanted to ask if everybody else is also having a problem with the audio. Are you all able to hear me properly? Please let me know.
No, sir. I am also experiencing the same fragmentation.
There are breaks. Yes, there are breaks.
Sometimes, but
once in a while, yeah.
Okay, so should I shut down and start again? It will take about 5 minutes. I'll shut it down and start again. Or should we continue?
Yes, please do that, sir, because some parts we are missing the main word which you are saying, or better you do that, sir.